All right.
Yep, here we go. So, good morning, everyone. I'm Dave Angeletti, the Ecosystem Director for Tradewind. Our pleasure to bring to you the um, Warfighter Health Track version 2.0 attempt at this today. And we're excited that you all have decided to join us and do this over. I'm excited to get things kicked off today with Greg Benviel from SmartTec Incorporated. He'll take the show for the next 20 minutes. Just to remind everyone, there is no Q&A throughout this. We're keeping that fair across all presentations, but there will be complete contact information shared with all participants following the event by a day or two once we collect all the data. So with that, Gregory, take it away, sir.
All right. Thank you, Dave. Well, good morning, everyone. My name is Gregory Monbiel. As Dave mentioned, I am the CTO of SmartTec. And today I'm here to talk to you about Okaya, our new mental health assessment platform. And this platform is going to help you run better operation to ensure better mission outcome. Now, when we talk about mental health, historically, people have been looking at the top of the iceberg, the part that makes the news. And those are very serious situations. For example, during our Cyber Works Phase 1, one of our stakeholders lost a member to suicide. So we have seen the impact. We know what it means. And that's a part that needs to be addressed. We're helping address this. However, our focus at SmartTech is the invisible part. Over 970 million worldwide suffer from mental health. The problem, most of them go undetected. And because they go undetected, they have huge impact on your organization and how things can improve or not. Let me give you an example. Now, say you're preparing to have a group of 10 people to accomplish a very specific mission. Now, if you just look purely in terms of statistics and using a tool such as the PHQ-9, which is a tool that focuses on detecting depression and other mental health symptoms, out of these 10 people, one of them will already be in critical zone and should be already receiving some sort of treatment or one-on-one follow-up, one-on-one care. That's one. However, looking at the stats, you're going to have two more people who are in a critical zone. Those people can become very, very problematic and could even enter that potentially suicide zone. Those two people, most of the time, they're never detected. They're not talking about their issues. You'd think they would be it. However, there's another group, again, using the PHQ-9 as a detection method. You're going to see two other people who are just entering that area of that 871 million people with mental health issues. So now what you have out of your team of 10, you have 5 people who actually are having problems, and their problems are impacting not just your organization, not just themselves, but also the rest of your team. So that team of 10 is already a team of 5 that's also being impacted by 5 other person. The costs and consequences can be huge. Of course, you have a human cost, human toll, where the individual, their families, their loved ones are impacted. At the organizational level in the civilian world, for example, they estimate that an organization will actually waste $10,000 per employee per year because of mental health issues. So what can we do about it? Well, historically, people have been relying on assessments. The problem is that a study from Johns Hopkins is showing that 66% of mental health assessments are wrong. Why? Because if you think about it, they're extremely subjective. People respond to questionnaires based on how they're doing at a given time. It's also very one-sided. You do one questionnaire for depression, one questionnaire for sleep, one questionnaire, how do you feel before deployment, after deployment. So there's no aggregated view of how the person is doing. And finally, people will answer those questionnaires based on what they perceive to be important at that time. They may fear that if they say specific things, it's going to be held against them, or conversely, it may help them, but not in the way they're seeking. So those assessments, the way we currently do them, are very, very biased and lead to a misunderstanding of the problem and how to solve the problem. So we're here to change this. Okaya is a dedicated machine learning-based platform for mental well-being diagnosis. And when our customers use Okaya, what they get are remote, real-time, and predictive mental health assessments. This is important because we bring our expertise into a new way of doing mental health assessment, where we rely on objective criteria using computer vision, voice analysis, and contextual data analysis to determine how a person is doing and the best course to help them. Now, the first thing that we've done when we build a platform is address an issue we've heard many, many times. Like, for example, we talked to a retired UAV pilot who mentioned that privacy, of course, when it comes to mental health, is paramount. They're already on location for a long time. The last thing they want is to have to share more about their lives still on location. So, how did we go about solving the problem? Well, from within our DNA, the privacy of the end user is paramount. What we do is make all the data opt-in, meaning a user will always be anonymous and private on our system when we run analysis. We also follow HIPAA and GDPR compliant, and that's both to address privacy but to enhance security as well. And finally, because some of our customers and partners are within the education realm, we also follow FERPA standard. So we know that the data we have, the analysis we do of mental health is very private to reassure people and give them an incentive to be detected early. This focus on privacy has been translated in the entire operation and software platform that we built. So for example, I told you that we receive a video of a person, that person is speaking about their day. And what we do is start to analyze facial landmarks. By the time the 20 seconds hit, which is the minimum amount of time we need to do an assessment, we will have analyzed over 35,000 landmarks for that person. But because we care about privacy and security, we don't have to keep the original video like the way you and I are seeing each other right now. We just keep the landmarks, and that's a way to make sure people are being respected and we remove a lot of potential bias in the analysis. But we don't just look at the face, we also pay a lot of attention to the voice in a few ways. We look at what people say, how they say it. And then we also look at the contrast because we know communication is over 90% nonverbal. So we also look at clues to see if the person is really believing what they're saying, if there are certain discrepancies that we should be aware of and report to your team for better decisions. Now, by doing so, at the end, we start to get a pretty good picture of how the person is doing. And we take this approach to address the big elephant in the room, which is stigma. We've talked to different people at the Air Force, and we've seen the two sides of stigma. The first issue is people not wanting to report their mental health struggles because they fear someone is going to know about their problem and use this against them, which is not good, but that's the reality. The flip side of the coin is that you as an organization are very much like this chief force that talked to us who said, look, we have the resource. The problem is that people wait too long to go and seek the resource, and they wait so long that by the time they go and seek help, they're very far down the road and it's really hard to help them. Which also means that as an organization, you invest a lot in resources that are not being used, and maybe this investment could be done elsewhere to help your force better. And the way we help people address stigma is that once they're done with their analysis, there we go. Once they're done with their analysis, we present them with what we call the mental health climate index. Think of it as a composite index of all different variables that reflect their mental health. Now, the nice part is that based on how they're doing, we can start to automatically route them through your internal resources. And by doing so, it gives them an objective understanding of where they're at and a realistic view of how they can seek help. By removing the act of having to go and ask someone or to have to take a test in public, you're really helping them open up and figure out exactly where they're at. At that stage, the individual user is already helped, and we're already addressing stigma, and we're already helping these resources be better allocated. But our differentiator, and something we do very well, is also in helping the mission outcome. Now, we had a great analogy, which I'm sure you can also bring back to your service, but we had a commander telling us, look, I would never let a jet take off with a proper fuel plan. However, it can be 2 years before I know how my team is doing, even though we have tests, even though we have assessments. And that's wrong. And we do believe this. So, what we've done is really built the operating side of things. What I'm sharing with you are a few mock-up screens of a project we're doing with a company named Framatome. They're a very large industrial group, and they're looking at bringing industrial safety using our solution. So here we're going to start by the highest level view of what would be for you a command operation, where you can get a snapshot understanding of how different deployed units are doing. You can see the alerts that are associated with them, but you can also see the kind of keywords they are saying. So that's going to help you get a pulse real time on your different organizations, your different teams, and then you can become a lot more proactive in addressing problems. This concept from the enterprise level, really the highest level, can also come down to a site. So a site could be a base, it could be a group being deployed, and then you're going to see how each team is doing. The nice part here is that data has already been anonymized, analyzed, and pre-processed. So those are very much decision tools that can be used as a KPI. Now, once you have this information, really, that's where you see where the tool can shine, because now you're no longer using mental well-being just as a health system, but also as something that can drive operation. By using Okaya, really, you're freeing your team from doing basic assessment that are already very subjective, and you're moving to the objective data point. It's also going to help reduce the cost because you don't have to direct different resources that may not be needed at a specific point in time. And then it gives you new operational insights and intelligence, because once you know how your team are doing, you can reassign them, you can shape them to make sure the mission get accomplished, because in the end, that's what people are going to be measured with. Now, as a startup, we've been making great progress lately. There are just 3 points I want to highlight on this slide. The first one, we're part of the NVIDIA Inception program, which is going to come back as a point later on, but we're very happy to join this program. All our research and our work has been validated in many different ways. We've done a lot of work with the VA, and the part that we're very happy about right now is we're setting up an IRB with West Virginia University Medical, where our technologies can be used on cancer patients to evaluate fatigue and see the impact of fatigue on treatment. So that's something we're very excited about. As far as revenue, as I mentioned, we've done a CBER phase 1 with the Air Force, which also makes us eligible for phase 3 and non-competitive awards. We're doing quite a bit of work with first responders, and it's a very interesting use case because first responders in their operation and mindset are very similar to the armed forces as well. So there's a lot of intelligence we can bring to you through the work we do with them. And then finally, as I mentioned, we just started a collaboration agreement. So it even goes beyond a customer relationship with Framatome to start to implement a system that will help with industrial safety. And really the way the system is being built also can help a lot within your operations. And this brings me really to how we feel we can help you, and especially the Navy, because I know many people from the Navy are going to be attending. Look, in the end, what fuels the armed forces are the men and women who are working, and it goes from the time they're being recruited to the time they're being assigned, trained, and deployed. And we can help them by bringing this mental health assessment to operations. We can deploy the mental health system in 2 ways. The first one that's live and available, it fuels from the screenshots I've seen you, where literally you send us a 20-second video stream of someone, we do the processing, and we can return information and trigger workflows about that person. We have an app for this. We have a back office for this. But the really interesting part is that we're first and foremost an API-driven company, which means you've already invested a lot in your system. There's no need to bring yet another tool on top. What you can do is integrate our intelligence into your existing platform. So people do not have to change how they work or how they reach out for help, but they're going to have that extra layer of information. So that's something that's entirely live and available right now. There's another part that I would like to bring up where I think could be of high value, especially to the Navy. Look, the Washington has been in the news lately for not the right reasons. I think there's no way to deny it. However, in this, what people need to recognize is the environment is very different than for people on land. Even though you may have thousands of people on a carrier or deployed on a boat or within a group, the environment changes. Therefore, what we would like to assess as well is how we can bring this mental health assessment tool in very closed and confined environments. To do so, that's where we could bring AI at the edge using some of the NVIDIA tool and deploy it on a very confined environment where people can still share in a very safe, secured, and personalized way. And the leadership can have access to these anonymous data in real time. Because in the end, that's going to be the real time that matters. We want to know about any potential mental health issue right at the start, not when it's too late. Once again, our goal at Okaya is to help you run better operation and help the men and women who are making the Navy and all the other armed forces what they are, which is a leading force in the world. We want to contribute to this effort. We're looking forward to engaging with you and talking with you very soon. Thank you very much.
Helps when you click these buttons, right? Thanks so much, Greg. Appreciate that presentation on what I share with you, a very important topic and something that's not talked about enough, let alone acted on enough. So I can tell you that Tradewind has been working with the Advanced Technology Academic Research Center, or atarc.org, if you care to look them up, and are forming up a working group for warfighter health related type scenarios. Look for information coming soon about a joint event we're holding with the University of Massachusetts Lowell Research Institute later in June. I believe it's the 23rd or 24th, but we'll get that information out here pretty quickly. That'll be an in-person event. Not sure yet whether hybrid or virtual attendance will be available for that, but we are looking to go a little bit deeper than just surface scratches or all things warfighter health. As soon as that program starts to take shape, we'll certainly let you know. ATARC also has a working group formed up within its own environment. And of course, you can reach out to us to get more information about how to get associated with that. So with that, thanks again, Gregory. We'll end this session. We'll click over to the next one and we'll have next up. So appreciate everyone, and we'll see you on the other end.